This is a little behind the scenes with the Pro Tools for how I'm doing recording and then mixing and mastering. And so basically within Pro Tools, I have a default template that I've saved off and called blank song template. But it was a default template within Pro Tools for singer-songwriter. So the idea was that way it was already set up with a recording track for, I've got a line in from the guitar and then the guitar through the mic, male vocals, a click track, mastering track, reverb, return, a delay return, and chorus return. And so it was already set up in the template. The blank template was, the reason I've saved it off as a blank song is that this way it's already set up for where my inputs are. My inputs happen to be, the line in from the guitar is coming into input 1, the vocal mic. So if you hear the guitar over the vocal mic, it's coming in through input 4, the male vocals over line 4, and so on. And so if I need to record a song next called Some Days This Is All You Get. And so all I would do is pull up this blank template. First, we're going to track the guitar just by itself, no singing. And then we're going to listen to that and sing and capture the singing, no guitar. But we'll be able to hear the mix of them together. We're going to run the click track. And so with the blank template loaded, my tempo is at 120, which is fine. The metronome, this little metronome symbol is turned on, so good. So that means the click track is going to sound. What I like to do is let it go 4 beats or 8 beats. This is a 4/4 song, so 4 beats or 8 beats. But I'm going to tell it, let's trigger the guitar line in for recording and the guitar mic for recording. And now we can hear my voice through the mic, but I'm not going to be speaking while we do the guitar mic. And so that I can, it could be that'll make it hard for me to explain to you what's going on. But what I'll do is we'll just record a few measures and then I'll stop and then we'll do the vocals to go with it. Okay, so we're going to do our guitar line in, our guitar mic. Now that I have the track set to record, so they're armed. You might think pushing record causes it to record, but it doesn't. I'm gonna unarm the mic. I can hear an echo in my earphones. I'm not sure if you hear that echo too. This is record enable, and so because I have a track set up to record, then if I enable record, that doesn't actually start recording. So that's a little counterintuitive. It doesn't actually start recording. It's going to start recording when we hit play. So what's going to happen is play in this case, there's no other tracks recorded here. So play in this case is just going to mean the click track is running. And we can hear the click track. You'll hear it go click, every 120 beats per minute. So that's going to keep time for us. And the nice thing is you can go ahead and get your hands on your guitar. So like, I know this song is going to start with the D, A minor, D, A minor, D. And so I can get straight in my mind where I'm going to put my hands to get started recording. And I can hit the space bar now that the track is armed to record and the recording mode is enabled. So now I'm going to turn back on the guitar mic. Okay, then I hit the space bar again to get it to stop recording. All right, so now if we want to hear it play back, we could just hit playback, but the metronome would be sounding. So I'm going to turn off the metronome, and then we're already cued back to the beginning of the song. There's going to be a little quiet at the beginning. If you touch this panel above all of those, then that turns on multiple tools. And so we can wind this back. I'm going to actually wait and do the trimming after we get the vocals set up. But we can hit playback and hear the guitar. Now what I'm doing is actually double tracking. So the guitar line in is on one track. The guitar through the vocal mic is on a different track. And we'll end up doing slightly different things with them, but that's to just give a fuller guitar sound. Now, I already have some inserts set up here. So there's a 7-band EQ to add warmth to the guitar on the line in. And then there's a compressor limiter for the guitar, so set up specifically for an acoustic guitar, and that's just a very light limiter, 1.6 to 1. And then we've got basically the same two things over here on the guitar mic. Now what we're going to do is we've disarmed the recording for those two. I'm going to arm the recording for the vocal mic, and then we're going to cue it back up to the beginning again. And I can hear it through my headset. You can probably hear it through the output that we're more amplified because we're actually hearing the master version through the headset now. And so it's got different staged gain at different points. But what we're going to do now is, remember, we're going to hear those 8 clicks to begin, and then we're going to hear the intro, and then it's going to get to where the vocals fit in. So you have to know, what you're playing. So in my case, there's going to be, D, A minor, D, A minor, D, D. So there's going to be those 7 measures. And then, so there's going to be 2 measures of click, 7 measures of intro, and then that's where our cue is to start singing. Okay, so once again, we arm it for recording. We've got just the one thing on the male vocals. And now we're cued back to the beginning, and so we'll start, and so we'll listen for the clicks. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake there because we've got to turn on the metronome. Here we go. This is the intro, so I'm not singing during this part. I like my solitude. I try to breathe out gratitude through my songs and on the stage. But some days I fight the rage. So what happened there was, because I had told it to stop, it disarmed the recording. So, rookie mistake. So what we're going to do is rearm the recording. I'm going to delete this bit of a track that was there. We're going to re-cue it, and then we'll have to and make sure the metronome is on, and then we'll have to listen through it again. So there's the 8 clicks of the metronome, and then the intro. I like my solitude. I try to breathe out gratitude through my songs and on the stage. But some days I fight the rage. Okay, as soon as I've finished singing, then I just go ahead and hit the space bar again. If you just were having a quiet period, you can just let it run along. Now, this part of the beginning, we don't actually need the singing, but we'll cue that back. We'll trim that back a little bit. We'll trim the guitars back. What I'm doing is, because we've clicked this up here, I can just put the mouse at the very beginning of the track, and it turns into that trim tool. I'm going to grab all three of them by holding down the shift key and then clicking on them with the hand. And I'm going to drag them back over to the left so that there's no time at the beginning. Now, because we have this multi-tool clicked on, up in the corner, I can just drag that down. And what that's going to do is it's going to fade in the audio. And we can do the same thing at the back. You know, I don't need it in this case because we just did, you know, the first verse. But that way the audio will fade in. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the metronome so now we can hear the whole thing together. I'm going to go ahead and click up here so that we start centered where the vocals come in. So you can hear that's got. Now's when we, if you get happy with the guitar and you get happy with the vocals, then next thing is remember to save it off. So this is going to be our YouTube example. So that's going to save off the Pro Tools session. So then we can open up our mixing window. And so the very first thing is going to be get the levels right so that before you try and change anything else, make sure you have the levels right. So I'm going to push up the guitar audio over the voice mic a little bit. Got a little too much vocal, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit. Okay, that's the click track, sorry. I actually grabbed the click track by mistake, but what you'll see is if you move an audio slider and it moves back on its own, that means you have some audio automation set up. And the way you can see that is on an individual track is if you tell it, show me the volume control. And what you'll see is if there are dots along the volume line, if there's a solid line like this where there's no dots, then there's no automation. But if there are dots and shaping, like this dot up here, and shaping, then you have to highlight that whole automation and delete points of automation or get rid of all the automation. That won't delete the track if I highlighted it all right now because it won't affect the waveform. It would just affect the volume controls. Okay, so now is when I could go in and adjust, and this is what I mentioned staged gain. So you could add some gain on the guitars at the equalizer level. And so if I want this one to be, this is the line in, I want it to be a little louder than it is. So I could add a little gain here. I added 5 dB of gain on the slider. And then on the voice, I'm going to turn off that effect, the record trigger, record arm. On the voice, I've got a 7-band equalizer, and basically I picked this out for male vocals. So not to make this too easy, but there is a default for male vocal 7-band. The idea is then you could slide these around, but I'm just using the default pattern right now. And there is an input and output gain control here. Okay, then I'm also using a de-esser. What this does is we'll set it for male DS, but what this does is it softens your hard consonants in case your consonants are coming across really hard. And then I've got an individual compressor set for a vocal comp. And again, it's a very light compression, 1.8 to 1. And then at the mastering level, we've got another compressor limiter that's set for clean limits. And so what we want to see as once we get to that stage is what we want to see is that we already have the levels from the mix at about the right level that the limiter doesn't have to do much work. And we'll see that. But the next thing I would check is we're going to go back to the mixing window. And up here on the sends, these sends are really important. So the way Pro Tools set this up on the default template was this very first send is your reverb. So I'm going to mark the reverb all the way up to, and it's marked, it was all the way down at -60, so no reverb. I'm going to push it all the way up to equal with whatever volume I have the voice track on. So the voice track is -2.5, so I'm going to set the reverb to about the same as the volume of the voice track. So I try and keep those synced up. And then 3 to 4 is the delay. I don't want any delay on the voice track. And then 5 to 6 would be chorus. And I don't want any chorus on the voice track right now. The same thing on the guitar. I'm going to sync this up with about where the guitar, again, bus 1 and 2 is the reverb. So I'm going to pull the reverb up to about the same volume as the guitar. I'm going to leave the delay. The Pro Tools default set the delay to about -14 dB. So I'm going to leave that alone, and it has no chorus on it. The chorus works great if you're doing a solo guitar, like if I need to put in a solo part. Okay, so with those set, now we can listen to it again. And now the reverb, you can actually see what reverb is it set for. So this is set for an ambient medium. So now we'll listen to it again with reverb on the voice and the guitar. Now we could change this to a big reverb. So that would be a room reverb, which is more echoey. Church reverb. But I like an ambient, which just gives a little reverb, but not a pronounced effect. Okay, so then I'm going to save that off again. This is our YouTube demo. Now, if I wanted to exporting a track from Pro Tools, so if I wanted to save off, if I was happy with the mix, so at this point, we've recorded the guitar, we've recorded some vocals, we've set the levels of the guitar and the vocals about where we want them. I actually wish the guitar through the mic was a little louder, but we've set the levels of the. You could also set panning at this point. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll pan the guitar mic one way and the guitar line another way. But what you could do is record another guitar track, just do what we've done so far over again, and then pan one of them right, one of them left, and so that doubles up. Or you could use an effect to double up the guitar. But we've got our levels at about the right place. We've decided what we want to do with the panning. We've got the de-esser on the vocals and the EQ on the guitar, the EQ on the vocals. We've got a limiter on the master. We've got a reverb set the right way we want. So you can hear the mix in Pro Tools, but if you want to share the mix with somebody else, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hand to click on one track, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on all the tracks. We've also done a fade in and fade out at the beginning and the end. So now with all the tracks highlighted just like that, I'm going to come up and saving a mix is called bouncing a mix in a digital audio workstation. So in Pro Tools, we choose bounce mix. So now it's going to give me choices. I'm going to bounce this as an MP3. Mine is set up for, so I'm going to call this the YouTube example mix. And it's set for an MP3. I'm going to choose where it's going to save it to. I like to save it to, I have a big D drive, and so save it over there. And I choose offline mixing. This is asking how you want the meta tags within the MP3 to be set. Now we could also have changed that up in window examine meta tags, meta tag inspector. And you can actually write in meta tags here and then hit apply. There's an eccentricity here where this apply button doesn't seem to work as, like when I push it, I don't get a visual response that it's been pushed, but it does. The window does work. If you change the meta tags, it'll and hit that apply button, it'll remember it. I don't understand what's wrong with that within Pro Tools or within Windows or whatever. Okay, so we've saved off that bounced mix. So now we can go to our drive where we saved the mix, and then you can pull that up and then here listen to the mix, share it with your friends or listen to the mix through your headphones the way it would go to your friends. So I'm going to tell it open that up with the Windows Media Player. I don't know if my audio is set on the Windows Media Player for you to hear it. So the big thing though is highlighting each one of the tracks. There may be a quicker way to do that, but highlighting each one of the tracks, and then you don't have to worry about the start date, the start point, the end point, and so on. You just highlight one of the tracks with the hand and then hold down the shift button. Now, if I had some other tracks that were spaced back over here off screen, I may have to scroll in order to get that one included. And then you do File, bounce the mix, and then you could choose to bounce it as an uncompressed WAV file or an MP3 or whatever you need the mix to be bounced as. So that's kind of the basics of, again, I began with a template that was designed by Pro Tools that was suggested as a singer-songwriter template. I took that template and I saved, without doing a song, I set up where my inputs needed to be for the way I have my audio set up. So the line in is set up as in interface 1 on my input 1 on my interface. The vocal mic is set up as input 4 on my interface, and so on. And then I save that off again. I save that template off again as blank song template. And so then whenever I want to start a new song, I just grab that template and it's already set up with everything I need. So the click track, the guitar line in, the guitar mic, the male vocals, and all of the effects that I want to use. So basically every song is already set up to mix and master. And then I record the guitar. You could record the guitar multiple times. I record the vocals. Sometimes if I'm doing a solo, then I'll duplicate the guitar line track and then rename it solo. And then I will go do the same thing where I play the song back and listen to where I need the solo to go, and then play the solo on the guitar and capture it that way, and then save it off. All the way through, I keep remembering save things off as I go. Now, if for some reason I had done the guitar wrong, like this guitar mic, I wanted to position the mic a different place and redo it, all you have to do is this little arrow next to the name, the playlist selector, I could choose new there, and that'll prep it for a new track. It's suggesting, let's call it Guitar Mic 1. Okay. So now it's on Guitar Mic 1 and it's a blank track. So I could just record the mic guitar track over again by arming that track and getting the record ready and going from there. But it saved the old one. So I can come back to the track that I recorded already if I chose to. And so that's a really nice versioning feature that if you have something that's pretty good, but you want to try it again, then you can record it again. But if you want to go back to the one that you had, then you can. Anyway, that's kind of the A to Z for how I am using Pro Tools to record, set levels, mix, master, and bounce the tracks out to WAV files or MP3 files. If you have better ideas or you see things that I'm not doing as well as I could be doing, please share in the comments and contact me and let me know that I'm learning as I go. And so I wanted to share the way I'm doing it.